What's up, guys? This is C, and we are back with another recap of Love After Lockup. Season 3, Episode 6. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the episode starts with Destiny and Sean. They're at the airport, and he's taking Destiny to live with him in Vegas. So she's nervous because she's never been on a plane before. Sean is really, giving this girl a new life, and he brings her to his home, which she says is absolutely huge. And so they go in, and he's bought her all kinds of clothes and other knickknacks and things to make her comfortable in what's going to be their new home. And so Sean kind of wants a quiet evening in. He wants to kind of hang out at home. And Destiny wants to go out. Destiny is ready to party. And Sean's idea, was to kind of have a quiet night in, invite some friends over, and they relax. But Destiny's like, no, I want to go out. So he brings over his friend Hector and his wife, Veronica, I believe that's her name. And so she's like, they better be fun because I want to party. I want to go out. And Veronica was more so like Sean. Like, she was kind of reserved and quiet. And Hector, you could tell, like, he was kind of meshing well with Destiny because they both kind of had that kind of crazy attitude. But she convinces them to go out. Like, she doesn't even want to eat. Well, she makes a reference to probably eating some peen later on or something, but they go out to a bar because Hector lets her know that, in Vegas you can drink, all day, every day. And that was all Destiny needed to hear, because we know Destiny likes to drink. So, and apparently that's one of her vices, and that's something that Sean is worried about. So they go out to a bar, and the bartender's telling her that, he's going to make her drink really strong. And so while they're there, Hector is using this as an opportunity to grill Destiny. And as we'll see in this episode, everybody's mate is being grilled by somebody of some kind, with the exception of, I believe, Jessica and Maurice. But anyway, we'll get to their story later. But they're at the bar having a good time, and you can tell, Hector is kind of saying the stuff that he really wants to say, but he's saying it in a joking manner. He's letting her know, well, we honestly thought that you were a catfish, taking all of Sean's money. And so she, they laughed and joked, but he was kind of serious because they did not know what Destiny was going to look like. She sent him an old picture, and she kept saying how she gained weight. And so she didn't want to send him a recent picture. So, he's asking her questions. He's like, well, how many girlfriends did you have? He's asking serious questions, over drinks. So it appears to be lighthearted, but I believe, Hector, he knows what's up when it comes to Destiny. He knows that, Destiny probably is full of shit and she's got secrets with her, and he wants to find out because he doesn't want her doing his friend any kind of way. So, she then goes into the confession, and she lets us know again, that she had sex with another woman in prison, weeks before she had transferred to the other prison where she was released. And Sean doesn't know, and she doesn't plan on telling him because she still plans on being, with women, but she doesn't want Sean to know about it. So Destiny's going to keep that up, and it'll be a matter of time before, she's found out or something happens. But I honestly don't foresee them lasting. And then we go on to Tyrese and Shonda. So Tyrese is still sitting on the side of the road waiting for Shonda to be released when he receives a call from Shonda, and she tells him that she's at the bus station. They took her, I guess, to a different place instead of where she was supposed to be released. So he hightails it to her because now they've wasted so much time that he had intended on spending with her was wasted sitting in the wrong spot waiting. So he was hightailing it to the bus station, and so she's kind of sitting there. They show a pair of shoes and sweats, and she's sitting there, anticipating his arrival. And when he comes, she looks at him, and I know the first thing that she saw was that suit, because that was the first thing that everybody saw. And so she gets him, and she's excited to see him, and they hug and they do this really nasty kiss. The gross PDA. I just have a thing about people kissing on screen. It is just so gross to me. I don't like to see it in movies. I don't like to see it in reality TV. I don't know how much I like to see myself engaging in it, like, in a picture or a video, but it's just nasty to see. I like, to kiss, but I don't like to see it. But that's neither here nor there. But back to them. So they're together, and so he is excited to see her, and he's telling her how good she smells, and she tells him, man, you are really, dressed up, you are almost overdressed for the occasion. And so he was like, oh, you think so? So he gives her some clothes that he got her, and he got her some kind of leather and fur combination. She was like flowing in the wind, and leather at the same time kind of get up, and some jean capris with her black shoes. It was weird. But he liked what she had on. She liked what she had on. She said, I look good. She gave him a little turn, and he was looking at her big old ass, as he referred to. And so Tyrese, he had this stuff prepared. He had planned on getting her fed, and then taking her back to the room, and he had planned on having relations with Shonda, but so much time was wasted. And then Shonda said she was starving, so she wanted to go and eat. I think that this was like another way to delay having to be intimate with him, because she knew that she only had a certain amount of time before she had to go back to the bus station, because her bus was departing to take her to the halfway house. I don't really know why Tyrese couldn't take her to the halfway house. That way they could have spent more time together. But I guess he just took her to the bus station and was going to let the bus take her. And we kind of learned a little bit more about Shonda this episode. She tells us that she came from a really hard life. Her father was incarcerated for, manufacturing of methamphetamines, and her mom, died of alcoholism. So she had a really hard life, and she said, she's been around drugs her entire life. She was in and out of trouble, on drugs, off drugs. She has had that battle, and she, just like Christiana, also has a concern about going into the halfway house, because she said in the halfway house, there's more contraband in the halfway house, than in other facilities. I'm sure, there are drugs in prison, but in the halfway house, it's just way easier to get caught back up in that lifestyle. So she's also concerned about going back to the halfway house and staying clean and staying on track. But they go and get chicken, and they kind of have a moment to talk. And he is, happy to have his woman out of prison. And he's excited about the possibility of them being together. I mean, he was talking, marriage, the potential for marriage. So Tyrese, you can tell, is all in. But Shonda, in one breath, she says she really likes him, and would have you to believe that it wasn't all about money, because she said, he was really nice. But then the producers kind of unpacked something, and I don't know if it was done purposely or not, but they unpacked the fact that while Shonda was in jail, hell, she had about, first she tried to lie and say about 5 or 6 guys. Then, she kept it real and was like, well, 8 or 9 guys. And she was using them. And she then said, but she's not with them anymore, but she still talks to them as friends. But she was really like, she got quiet and was kind of trying to choose her words wisely during this interview. And I'm sure it was, out of fear that Tyrese or his people will probably see this in the future and, further support the family's theory that she's probably just there for money. But we'll see what happens. Now, we then went on to Christiana and John. Now, we know Christiana is back at the halfway house. John, I don't know how he thought he was going to do all of this stuff in this small amount of time, but he had intended on taking going to get Christiana's mom, and the 3 of them get together and talk and get to know, one another. But I don't know how he thought a wedding, sex, and all of this stuff was going to go down all in the time between her getting out of prison and her having to be at the halfway house. But they get together. He goes to get mom. Mom's got her oxygen on, and she's still sounding like Angela. And a combination of Jenny from 90 Day Fiance. I mean, she was, my mama, her voice was deep. Her voice was deeper than John's, but of course, that's probably from years of being rough on her lungs. But they get together and they go out to eat, and she's pretty pleasant. She's not being rude to John, but she is asking John again some really good questions. She wants to know, well, how long have you and Christiana, been together? And he tells her, it's been a few months. And so she's like, well, I would have at least thought it was a few years, and y'all are getting married. And then, he explains to her that they got married in they had a native ceremony. And she was kind of, confused by that, because she wanted to know why. Because, Christiana, first of all, is Christian. So, she was wondering why they went the native route. And then, she has concerns that it's not even, real or legal. He lets her know that he's been married 4 other times before, and even left one of the wives for their cousin or something. But John was out there, and he was being pretty transparent, and he was being transparent with a smile. I mean, he told mom that, he did go to prison. He, was released in 2008, but he went to prison for check fraud. He was saying how his account was overdrawn at one point by over $200,000. And so mom wasn't really as, shocked as I thought she would be, but she did kind of have concerns of whether or not John would be able to take care of Christiana, properly. I don't know. Something's telling me that, she has every right to have that concern, because when I look at John, I do not see a responsible person. But I mean, he might prove us wrong. I don't see it. I don't know if y'all see it, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt until he proves otherwise. Now, we then go on to Maurice and Jessica. We didn't get a lot from them, but we kind of got a lot from them. He and Jessica are going out to eat. They go out to eat, and they're showing these different flashbacks of how his family, his cousin and his girlfriend and their kids kind of live. It's just like, I won't say a typical Black family, but I know plenty of families like that. Jessica does not. She's kind of uncomfortable with the noise and the hypeness and all the loud talking and the carrying on that they're doing. She's not used to that. She's used to quiet, and there's no way around it. Jessica was scared as hell being in it being in the hood. She was scared to be in Compton. She already let it be known that she did not want to stay in Compton. She was ready to go. It wasn't safe. She was ready to go back to Vegas, where it was safe, where their house was safe, where her family was. Her family was safe. She just wasn't featuring Compton at all. She was ready to go home. And so she let Maurice know. But on the other hand, she didn't want him to break parole. Well, he at this point is ready to leave. He doesn't want to stay in Compton. And, she's hyped up this life in Vegas. And he wants to see what it's about. He was ready to go, spend time in his own home. He is ready to meet her family. And he's just ready to start that chapter of their lives, whether or not his PO has given him permission to or not. Now, her dumb ass is going along with it. We later see her and Maurice packing up the car, and they're getting ready to go to Vegas. And I'm thinking, okay, he didn't get anybody's permission. They just getting in the car and going. And that's what they do. So they're at the halfway point, because it's a 4-hour drive from Compton to Vegas. And so she starts, having second thoughts. And at this point, Maurice is all in, and he kept trying to get her to say F the police, or F his PO, F jail, something crazy. And, you could tell she wasn't really comfortable with it, but she was probably just doing it to appease him. So she's telling him, I should just turn around. She's starting to have second thoughts, because he makes mention that this is his second strike, and, his third strike, he'll be done. He could be facing 20 to life. So she finally thinks about that. And I don't care how much he pressures you, you shouldn't have taken him. I mean, I wouldn't have. I can't speak. That's not my marriage. But I wouldn't have been going nowhere. He would have had to keep his ass there. We would have just prayed on the phone every night. I'm going to pray for you from Vegas, but we're going to pray on the phone every night until, you get permission to transfer. But I believe that she's a pushover when it comes to him, and he can get into a lot of trouble, and it'll be both of their faults. Primarily his, because he ought to be smart enough to know, just stay your ass in the house. You don't have to be out and about. Just stay home. Your cousin on parole, I mean, he not gonna be getting too wild. So stay ass at home when your time is done, or when you can transfer, then go to Vegas at that time. But they're taking a huge risk, and I mean, if he goes back to prison, that's just on them. And then we get to Quaylon and Chevelle. And the next morning, they're talking about, the night they had and how they had sex 3 times and it was amaze balls, it was all that. And so they're getting ready to leave because now Chevelle is taking Quaylon to meet her daughter and to see her mom. And so, they had a chance to kick it with his mom. So now it's time to go and see Chevelle's family. So Chevelle's mom is asking the good questions. She's been kind of, effed over before with the whole record deal or, that fiasco. So she already doesn't really have a whole lot of trust in the situation. She has a lot less trust than Chevelle. So the little girl was so cute, she was more excited about seeing the fish that Quaylon brought her than she was to see Quaylon himself. And at first I laughed and I had to get clarification because I thought she was telling Quaylon that he stank and that he needed to take a shower. Or why did he smell like that? But she was talking about the fish. I guess she said the fish stinks and that the fish needed to take a shower. But she was going to take me out if she said that Quaylon was stinking. But anyway, they go in and he's talking to the mom. And, the mom's like, okay, well, are you prepared to be that man that, the grandchild and my daughter needs? Her name was my something. I'm not gonna mess her name up, so I'm gonna just call the little baby girl the granddaughter. So he says, yeah, he kind of feels like that responsibility is what he'll need to motivate him to stay out of trouble. And she then asks him, is he ready to get married? And so he tells her that he is not quite ready to get married because he and Chevelle are still getting to know one another. And I'm thinking that, he's getting a little bit more, a little more taste of freedom each, hour that he's out. And he realizes that, Chevelle is just an option at this point, that she's not necessarily a necessity. And he's being straight up with mom. And meanwhile, Chevelle's kind of sitting off in the cut like, oh, for real? Oh, that's what we on? Because when you were locked up, it had, been, we were going to get married within the first 3 months of me getting out. And, we were going to be this one happy family. But now, you're telling my mom that it's going to, take a while and you're not wanting to get married right away. And so she says that Quaylon has a 6-month deadline to propose to her, because if he doesn't, then she's probably going to be gone. And so that's pretty much where the episode ends. Next episode seems like it's going to be really good. Can't wait for it. If I forgot anything, make sure that y'all let me know in the comments. Definitely be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel so you can catch all the other Love After Lockup reviews, as well as the other content that I put out. And I do thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you have a great weekend. We're going to do the same over here. And until next time, see you later. Bye-bye.